Good morning, good morning, do 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 do. Good morning to you. Mm. Good morning. Welcome to a daily dose of joy. And our theme right now is how to use these microdosing tools with other people and in a group. And today I'm going to talk about the Woopsie Daisy microdosing tool. So these tools are all ways that we can choose joy throughout our day on the fly, and in just 5 minutes leverage applied neuroscience and dose our brains with positive neurotransmitters that help us feel a sense of joy and vibrancy and clarity. So why Woopsie Daisy stories? What's the science behind that? Why'd you pick that, Winston? Well, let me tell you. So, speaking your story out loud is great because it engages the prefrontal cortex, and oh man, telling your story to other people, that creates more community, creates connection, but also gives you a good dose of oxytocin. Let's see, other reasons for telling our Woopsie Daisy stories out loud are that under stress and a lot of chemistry, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, the hippocampus in the brain that holds our memories can actually get smaller. But the great thing is it can re-enlarge. And storytelling is a wonderful way to access memories and work on memory retrieval and also memory retention. So repeating stories and going back into that memory bank and pulling it out, back into that memory bank and pulling it out can help enlarge our hippocampus. Awesome. It's also a type of laughter flow that often when we're telling the story, we'll kind of giggle to ourselves, and the people around us giggle, and our mirror neurons are picking up on that. When we do it in the WhatsApp group, in the microdosing community, we'll get on the call and gently giggle, sort of quietly, so that we can still hear the story, but so that we're getting a laughter flow going. And we do this one round robin style. So we get on a call for a Woopsie Daisy story, and we go one at a time around the circle. And people get on who just want to listen until they kind of build up some confidence telling Woopsie Daisy stories of their own. Often people will hear something thinking they're just going to listen, and then they go, oh, that reminds me of this. And they've all just experienced this is a safe community where we're laughing together. And it can give you the confidence. Start telling these Woopsie Daisy stories. It is a big, big boon. I will tell you a little bit more about the reasons that I chose it out of the neuroscience research. Was also that what wires together fires together. So if we fire up, oh, this embarrassing situation, or oh, this uncomfortable thing, and we add in humor and the ability to see it through that lens, what wires together fires together, and our brain starts tracking that. So just like last night, there's a light fixture in my kitchen, and I was trying to change it, and it sort of fell, and bits of inner ceiling fell, and I immediately started laughing. And where in the past I might have been disgruntled and inconvenienced and uncomfortable, I had stuff falling down in my shirt, but at the time it was like indoor hail or something. I don't know. My brain was primed to, oh, a little challenge, a little obstacle. Oh, let's see the humor in it. And so what wires together fires together. So the practicing of these Woopsie Daisy stories really does help rewire your brain. And then on to one of the most heartfelt reasons. I worked on these with my doctors and my coaches as I was retraining my brain. And I would, do rough runs with them of what do you think? Does this work? And got lots of support and lots of endorsements. So like, go Winston, you're on it, this works. Tell those whoopsie daisy stories, laugh, laugh, laugh. One coach who said she dropped a gallon of paint on the floor and immediately started laughing. And that was a part of my inspiration for like, well, I want to be like that. How do I get to where that wouldn't cause upset and tension and more resistance, you know? And so I just really, really want to encourage y'all and tell you that one of the big benefits I found was that when I wasn't as healthy, social situations could create, I found it hard to engage. And part of that was my brain wasn't very dosed with those positive neurotransmitters. So it held things very heavy. And at the beginning, I learned like one whoopsie daisy story, and I would retell it and retell it and retell it to all my friends in every situation. But I began to see that I could carry lightness and joy around with me, and that the people around me could start reframing how they saw me as not sick or injured, but as a part of the joy of life. And I think there are many mysteries and benefits wrapped in whoopsie daisy stories. And so it's from my heart that I share these with you guys and tell you, like, this is an important one in our toolbox. And I know it can feel a little daunting at first, but I really want to encourage you guys to give it a try. And I wanted to suggest some things that might help you begin to think of your own whoopsie daisy stories or get more confident. So one is just repeating whoopsie daisy stories you've heard. They don't have to be your own if you're not seeing the humor in your life yet. Also knowing in the microdosing group that it's a supportive community. So people are going to giggle along and laugh with you just for the sheer joy of that you're being willing to laugh at yourself. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I have to be a full comedian and like gotta get this psha. Just take one little step in. Another one is you can tell your friends whoopsie daisy stories. It's a supportive community. And if one person tells a story, unless they say, please don't repeat it, our community, the idea is to have these stories get passed around and create community. You can also create a little crib sheet. I used to have a little crib sheet on my desk by my phone. And it just was some prompts for me of, as I got more and more stories, I'd write that down. Oh, I'm thinking of ones I'm thinking of right now, but like bras on the fan, dad's gray hair, and then it would help me to call a friend and say, let's do a whoopsie daisy story. Or a friend would call me and be like, hey, I could really use a laugh. It's like, okay, I can tell you the story, And that repetition is going to help strengthen up that hippocampus. Also remember, when we do this in a group, how to do this in a group is to laugh along. When you get on a whoopsie daisy call, just giggle and laugh along as though it's a laughter flow. Choose to laugh. And that'll support the other people on the call. It'll also help raise your dose levels in your brain like a laughter flow. But more than likely, there'll be a lot of spontaneous laughter coming from the shenanigan stories you're going to hear. Also, if you post a whoopsie daisy story and you've got something in mind, it can be great to add a prompt. So you click on it and say, we're going to do a whoopsie daisy story. And then just say prompt, maybe something like bras as room decor or wardrobe malfunctions. And you'll be surprised at just with that little prompt, giving people a few minutes to have it start filtering through their brain, that can help people come with a story or help them after they hear your story. Like activate that hippocampus and find a little glimmer of a story. And I encourage you to try your glimmers. Try your glimmers. Just share, well, I have this little snippet of something. because it will build and get easier and easier and easier. All right. Well, I have told you guys about my love of Woopsie Daisy stories, about some of the science of wiring together and firing together and rerouting those neural pathways away from distress and alarm and to humor and lightness and joy, about activating our hippocampus, memory retrieval and retention, the richness of that, the social connections, the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins that come when there's the laughter and the connection. Please give these a try. And you can also retell my stories. If you go back through A Daily Dose of Joy, go back through the feed, you can look for all the ones titled Woopsie Daisy. And there are lots of stories in there. They're all yours. You're welcome to play with any of them. Oh, you can also use your imagination, almost like a future visualization. Think of something that might be sort of annoying to you or uncomfortable, and rewrite it in your head funny. Think, how can I see this as humorous? How can I see this as funny? I promise it works. It helps you create new neural pathways around these experiences. I've done it even with fears and all sorts of things, and just turning that lens of humor onto it. And so your Woopsie Daisy story does not have to be true. It does not have to be yours. You can make something up and fantasize about that. Like, what would make that funny? How do I want to be as a funny, humorous person in this situation that in the past caused fear or contraction? Let me imagine what it'd be like and tell that story. This is all yours. There's no doing it wrong. And it's a lot of fun. It is a really fun way to connect and build community and strengthen our brains at the same time. All right. And so on that note, let me give you 2 short little Woopsie Daisy stories that might be repeatable. These came up just the other day, and one is this bras on the fan story. So I was about 16, I think, and my parents went out of town for an overnight, and I'm the oldest, but we're all good kids, pretty collected, good kids, had stuff we were doing. So I didn't anticipate that. I was like, okay, well, my brother, is 15. He can hold down the fort for a few hours. I'm going to go on a first date. This guy named Quinn. Mm-hmm. He was so yummy. I was 16. And he was older than me by like a year or 2. I just was very excited. And we get back to the house, and you can hear the music before we even get down the driveway. I'm like, what is going on? And our entire high school is there, on the lawn, in the kitchen, everywhere. You can see the back kitchen door is partially glass, it's full of people. So I'm like, in my head I'm going, oh, there's not going to be a good night kiss tonight. So I'm already like, what did my brother do? And then we get into the kitchen, and I'm like, Eddie, and he comes out the door. Quinn's standing there with me. And what is most noticeable in the kitchen is the kitchen fan is on, and there are these colorful streamers going around the fan, which I quickly identify as, oh my gosh, those are my bras. And so Quinn goes, what's that? To my brother. And I give him this look like, don't you dare tell him those are mine. My brother, quick, Johnny on the spot goes, bras is party decor. I mean, whoopsie daisy, what a first date. What a line from my brother. Whoopsie daisy, being left at home and responsible for my younger brothers. Whoopsie daisies. But I am so grateful for those whoopsie daisies, because it is a cachet of humor and entertainment and a window back into that time of my life. Okay, so that's one. And I told it in our microdosing WhatsApp group the other day, and it was like fireworks and popcorn. People wardrobe malfunction stories, just came. I mean, and lots of, apparently we women often get our undies to be the holding place for the back of our skirt, get our skirt stuck in our undies. And thank goodness for cool breezes that finally alert us to this fact as we parade around in the world, because I heard a couple of those stories and it was so fun and funny and such a great way to hear my friends' voices and see these little windows into their lives. A second story, Woopsie Daisy Story. Oh yes, staying on this theme of bras as room decor, or just some tangentially, if somebody posts a prompt, you could do something totally different. It's just a way to help. An overly stressed brain might occasionally need like a little prompt, like a little cue, but as soon as it gets it and finds that thread into the memory and into the humor, your brilliant, beautiful brain doesn't need to be fixed. It is fabulous. We're just clearing away some of the stuff that makes it foggy. And so those prompts can help. And so another friend told me a story about, we were talking about the cold and how lots of people visit, white sand beaches this time of year, maybe just a weekend to warm up. And she was like, well, you got to remember that the heat has its own challenges. And she's from Australia. She's like, down under boob sweat is a real issue. It's like a pressing concern for women down under sometimes. And she said, I was out walking around and smiling at folks. And I just noticed everybody was smiling back, and I felt so just ebullient and walking around. And I got home and realized, wow, a lot of smiling might have to do with the fact that I was wearing 3 smiles, one on my face and 2 crescent-shaped sweat stains under my boobs. I was like, that was a vivid image of like what heat and humidity and perspiration can do. Whoopsie daisy though. She was like, whoopsie daisy, what can I do? I was walking down the street proud and happy. So, Lordy, what y'all must think. Well, that's one of the good things about Whoopsie Daisies, is letting go of what other people think and tapping into your memories, your humor, and your stories. And especially when we do it in our group, it's a warm, receptive community. So it's a great place to test the waters and build your capacity to laugh at the discomforts and the shenanigans of life. It's good stuff, guys. Let's all give it a try. Thank you so much for joining me on A Daily Dose of Joy. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And may the universe surprise and delight us today. Maybe even give you some whoopsie daisy stories of your own. Bye.